Well, hello everybody. Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Great to be with you on this beautiful Thursday. That means it's the end of our week as we do Monday through Thursday each and every week, Lord willing, as we have time. We've been talking about peace, and we've been looking at the different components of that and how it doesn't always mean the way that we look at it. And in particular, as we're looking at peace in the world, and we can easily get discouraged by that because we feel like it's not going to happen. It's not. Not until the return of the Lord. And that's not to be negative or depleting in any way, but here what we need to understand is turning our focus back to where we can find peace. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 14, speaking of Jesus, and I love this. In the very first part of verse 14 in chapter 2, it says, "For he is our peace." I want you to think about that for a minute. This speaks to our level of relationship. Oftentimes, I speak on the subject, whether it's in speaking, preaching, teaching, whatever, of knowing Jesus and knowing about Jesus, because they are two very, very different things. When we take the time to understand who he really is, hear me. When we take the time to understand who he really is, it changes things. It changes things from a mere view or some type of portion of a religion to the mindset of, wait, this is real. This is real. And he loves me. And he loves me so much that, in fact, he died for me. That level of love brings me joy. Once I embrace the internal and eternal joy that I find in him, I find peace that nothing else can bring. I no longer look for it in the world. I can find comfort and enjoyment for seasons in the world, but not peace. I find that in him. Does that make me perfect now? Of course not. Nor does it do any of you as well. But there's a change. There's a change. See, when our perspective is changed, when our view is changed, when what we're pursuing becomes different, there is a change. And just like a fruit on the vine or a fruit on a branch, it becomes visible as it grows. You see, Jesus told the disciples as they were standing on the shore, he said, "Let us go to the other side." And it tells us they entered the boat. Jesus went down into the lower portion of the boat to take a nap. The storm, as they got about halfway across, the storm came and they fell completely apart. They woke him up and they said, "Don't you care? Don't you care? We're going to die. The boat is taking on water and everything's upside down." Full panic mode in every possible way. They called out to him, but here's an interesting point in that story. It says they called out to him and they said, "Teacher." So what did he do? He got up and he taught. And the very first thing that he did in the lesson that he taught was he spoke to the wind and he spoke to the waves and he said, "Peace, be still." And then he asked them, he said, "Where is your faith?" So here's our question. Had they lost it? Or did they forget its power? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves. See, they let the circumstances of the storm cause them to forget the love that God had for them, which completely threw their joy overboard, out the window, wherever you want to call it, and it eliminated any idea of peace. You see how all that goes together? You see why each component is necessary, how each one builds off the other, and that one cannot be missing. Because if one is missing, it throws off the next one. It is like a chain. If one link in that chain is broken, it is no longer a solid entity. It is no longer in capacity to pull or tie down or whatever it is set to do. Do we do that? Do we do that? Something goes wrong, something goes upside down, panic sets in, peace is nowhere in the vicinity. But then as we start this lesson, as we were beginning from Ephesians 2, it tells us He being Jesus, is our peace. So here's the thought. If that is true, if that is our story as believers, if He is our rock, if He is our foundation, we need to remember that remains constant. He doesn't change. He doesn't leave. He doesn't go away. We just forget. And sometimes we need a reminder of that. Sometimes we need a reminder. There's a great old song that says, "Remind me, dear Lord, I'm merely human and humans forget. So remind me, dear Lord." The fruit of the Spirit is peace. But here's the question. Where do you seek peace? Where do you seek it, friends? If it's anywhere else, here's a pastor analogy for you, Pastor Andy analogy maybe specifically. If you're trying to seek peace anywhere else beside Jesus, it's like looking for a hamburger at Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's not there. Lord willing, I'll be back with you on Monday for the next edition of Making It Simple as we continue to look at peace, and we'll start wrapping that up next week and move into the next component of the fruit of the Spirit. But as you can see, everyone begins with love, and if we don't have that, we don't get to the next one. And if we don't have love, we don't find joy. And if we don't have joy, we certainly do not find peace. They all go hand in hand. God bless you, friends. Thank you for giving me a little portion of your day. I hope these lessons are a blessing to you as much as they are for me to teach them and present them from my heart to you. God bless you, friends. Have a great rest of the day. Have a fantastic weekend. And Lord willing, I'll see you on Monday.